Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Both Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder have come in at career heavyweights for their trilogy encounter in Las Vegas. So we'll start with the challenger Deontay Wilder, because not only a career heaviest, but by 7 pounds. And when considering his highest previous weight was 231, 238 is a bit of a difference for Deontay Wilder. Not to say that he doesn't carry it well, because clearly he's in tremendous shape. He looks very ripped, athletic, ready to go. But as we know, Deontay Wilder, carries most of that weight upstairs. His legs are very slender. A lot of this extra bulk will be up top. So there's a couple of concerns which I'll get to, but clearly I think the strategy from Deontay Wilder is seek and destroy. He's going to go after Tyson Fury. I think we will see him try to settle in for a round or two, have a look, and then he will be really trying to let his power punches go. I think if the opportunity presents itself early, he'll let his hands go, but I think we will see a little bit of patience, but he's going to ramp up and try to unfurl that right hand and land a knockout blow. And if he's learned anything from Malik Scott, hopefully it's a couple of extra tricks that just, he can help set up the right hand, because he needs to be able to disguise it better. Tyson Fury was able to nullify it in that second fight. So if he can manage to feint, or who knows what him and Malik Scott have actually been working on in camp, because we've seen a lot of Scott sort of being a static target and Deontay Wilder trying to rip the body, that sort of thing. But I'm interested to know, have they actually put in a plan B? Because it's clear when Deontay Wilder gets hurt, he doesn't really seem to have a plan B. It's just basically wild swinging. We saw against Luis Ortiz when he got hurt in that first fight. Not really a plan B. No plan B against Tyson Fury in the second fight. Basically, he couldn't fight going backwards as well. Tyson Fury up on his chest presented a real problem Deontay Wilder was uncomfortable with and unable to solve. He was able to take away the right hand. So what are the counter strategies that have been put in place? We haven't seen really any clips of Deontay Wilder working on the back foot, but this would suggest this weight, 238, Deontay Wilder's going to come out hard and strong in those first sort of 3, 4, 5 rounds. Both Wilder and Scott have predicted that this fight isn't going to go past 5 rounds. I think Deontay Wilder said 3, Scott said 5. And in the run-up to this fight, Malik Scott said 240 pounds, there or thereabouts, for Deontay Wilder. And I didn't really know if that was just misdirection, because I'm not actually sure that this lends itself, to a strategy that goes more than 5 or 6 rounds, because Deontay Wilder was gassing at 231 pounds. After 3 or 4 rounds, he looked pretty spent in that second fight. So 238 pounds, a weight he's not used to. He seemingly looks better, for me at least. I think his optimal weight is somewhere around 220 pounds. We've seen in different fights. So we can have that sort of mix of quickness and power, because his speed has been underrated in the past. He can sort of close the distance quite quickly. But at 238, I think the signals seek and destroy type of mentality and the sort of stuff and things he's been saying in the run-up to this fight in fight week would suggest that this is going to be the strategy. I think some of what we'll see, maybe he will try to implement some things that Scott has shown him, during training camp they've worked on, or these tools that are so-called being pulled out of the toolbox, as Scott says. But I think after a while, Deontay Wilder will revert to type, and we'll just be looking for big haymakers. Maybe he'll go into wild swinging mode, as we've seen earlier in his career, but it's clear he's going to be looking to land those power punches, that right hand in particular. 238 pounds on the scale. Somewhat surprising. I was thinking, 231 didn't really sit well with him last time. I was expecting he might come in lighter, because 238, it's a gamble. It's a 6-round sort of strategy, sort of fight from Deontay Wilder, but he's obviously backing himself to get it done. Tyson Fury, meanwhile, 277 pounds on the scale, also a career heaviest, and this is by 1 pound. He was 276 for the Sefer Seferi fight, his comeback fight about 3 years ago. But it has to be said, he was wearing his, clothes in here, which, can signal a couple of things, that sometimes when a fighter doesn't take off their top, it can be a bit of a bad sign. We immediately, a few years ago, when Joshua and Andy Ruiz had that rematch and Ruiz didn't sort of derobe and put up a higher weight, you sort of thought, okay, that's a red flag. Is it a red flag here? I mean, you have to consider he was basically fully clothed. So potentially he's still roughly around what he was for the second fight. So, depending on, what he had in his pockets, also, the full clothes, the shoes, etc. So 277, he was 273 for the last fight. So not too far away from where he was, albeit officially a career high here. So I think we'll largely see the same, similar sort of Tyson Fury that we did in the first fight. I think in the second fight, I should say, he may have to just mix it up a little bit in terms of the strategy, how he approaches those opening rounds if Deontay Wilder really is going to be aggressive and come at him with the kitchen sink. I think there may be a period where Wilder is going to sort of feel out, look out, see what he can do with these new tools or these enhanced tools that Malik Scott has been helping him bring out, round out, improve, etc. But I do think we'll see largely the same version of Wilder that we generally see. And Tyson Fury, he's the question mark, because will he be able to push Deontay Wilder back in the same way, get up on his chest? Are we going to see something slightly different? More of the Kronk style, as sort of Sugar Hill has sort of hinted at. For that second fight, they'd only been working together for a period of time. Now it's basically 2 years that they've been together. But expect aggression in spots from Fury. But I do think that he will be a bit judicious with, not just putting himself in the firing line, because you got to say that eventually, over a course of, a number of fights, Deontay Wilder's always got the chance to land something. And that's always the danger. He does have that sort of eraser, that one-punch power that can change a fight. Even though Tyson Fury has largely outboxed him in this trilogy series so far, Wilder always says, and even in the lead up to this one, even though he's done more talking about Tyson Fury rather reflecting on his own performance, he's still pushing that narrative that the whole, you have to be perfect for 12 rounds, only have to be perfect for a couple of seconds. There is something in that. Maybe it's a little bit overstated, but Deontay Wilder's got to set up that punch. And Tyson Fury will be trying to, keep that right hand largely nullified. He'll be trying to ride shots. He'll be trying to, basically do what he did in the second fight. Maybe it'll just be a slightly different sort of strategy. But I think some of those elements we will see again. I think he's going to try to use his weight advantage. Deontay Wilder actually at the weigh-in said that Tyson Fury won't be able to push him back, bully him, etc., because he's now heavier. He's prepared for that. He can deal with that. Remains to be seen, because Tyson Fury still outweighs him by the best part of 40 pounds. That's not insignificant. Tyson Fury knows how to use his weight, lean on fighters, especially when they get in the clinch. We've seen it before. He is very good at those sorts of tactics, and we've seen Deontay Wilder not very good on the back foot, doesn't really have a back foot game. How much he's improved that is probably going to help decide this fight, because if he's come along and leaps and bounds, then it could be much more competitive in this third fight. Maybe the second fight was an anomaly, but we are soon going to see, because interesting news out of this weigh-in, and I'm really looking forward to this fight. I know a lot of people have sort of been coming around to, well, maybe there's something here with Wilder. Maybe he's done something here to change the course of how this fight will turn out. People have been questioning Tyson Fury's motivation. They've been questioning, has he trained hard enough? People have been commenting on the back fat, all those sorts of things. We know he's never going to be the body beautiful, and I guess people will read into this, go 277. It's a career high. Has he not? Does he not have the motivation? And there has been a question about Fury's motivation. This has dragged on. There was the COVID postponement, etc. But I am predicting Tyson Fury will still get the job done here. I actually picked Wilder the first 2 times, so I'm not going to back against Fury this time, but I won't be surprised if Wilder actually has more success in this fight. I won't be surprised if Fury has to go through some moments to get, some hairy moments to get the win here. And if Wilder catches him, well, I won't be surprised by that. You can only fight this guy so many times and for him not to land a shot. So I think eventually, maybe Tyson Fury's luck will run out. Will it be in this fight? Hopefully there's no more fights with Wilder after this one, but if you've given him 3 fights, 3 opportunities, maybe he will land that punch. That would not shock me at all. But yeah, looking forward to this fight. It's sort of one of these fights I think is built up slowly. Over time, I think boxing fans have warmed up to this third fight. What has the time done for Deontay Wilder? Is it all smoke and mirrors? Will he revert to type? Has he really improved? Because if he has, and he can put up a better boxing effort, he can help set up that right hand and his power punches better. Maybe we will see more than just a crude right hand that he sometimes looks to throw. But at 238, it's a risky strategy coming in that heavy. He's got nothing on his legs, so it's all up top basically where this weight has been added. He's at risk of gassing, that's for sure. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.